Hello there, I'm Vine and I have for you two best roleplay builds based on Democrat and Republican USA parties. But before I show you even a pixel from the Empire selection screen, we have a long mandatory disclaimer to go through. That's because context matters, and since I'm touching the topic in a politically volatile time, it matters a lot. First, last week I made a poll if I should even make these builds, and it turns out that USAians gave me a pass with at least 12% margin. I say at least because, judging from voting hours, I know that some disgruntled Europeans flooded the pool with negative votes first. I also know where this is coming from. Every election period in the USA is a very annoying time to the European side of the English-speaking internet. So, a special message to my local viewers. Chill, I'm keeping the references to the current US election to a minimum, focusing mainly on generalized perception of both parties. Second, I wanted to do builds with Payback and Broken Shackles origins for quite some time now. But since those are narration-focused origins, I struggled to use it in my recent builds. Until today! As Payback, with the story being in essence the Independence Day, fits perfectly with current Republican vibes, and Broken Shackles with the idea of multi-ethnic gathering of slaves, rebelling to create a new society, would be perfect for the Democrats. But that's boring, so I switched them. Republicans have to work with a multi-ethnic gathering of rebel slaves, and the Democrats stand as the elites of Earth's nationalist uprising. Now they both have to work in environments they are not prepared for, which will force them to adapt and grow. If you don't like this idea, you can of course switch these origins back. Third, both builds start with oligarchic authority. This is because during the split, they became one-party states. If you wanna be a democracy like founding fathers intended, or a megacorporation like the investment companies intended, you have to reform government during the gameplay. That was a long one. Now I can present to you Democratic States of Earth. Those are our Democrats 200 years in the future with the Payback origin. Backstory here is as follows. When minimal specialized industries came to Earth, just like aliens in Hollywood movies, they focused mainly on the USA, hardly interacting with the rest of the world. It turned out later that's because the United States' non-existent healthcare system was the easiest to supplant and monopolize by their megacorporation, and allowed MSI to tyrannize the planet through local hegemon, keeping their hands clean. And when they demanded people as payment for their services, Democrat elites cooperated, allowing them to abduct Republican politicians alongside criminals. Note that the Republicans would do this too in switched scenario, as the party that takes the planet must sell the other to the MSI for this split to even occur. This is forced narrative requirement. But when the situation on Earth soured because of these abductions, Democrat Party did quick 180, purged minimal sympathizers from their party, and nuked the MSI battleship orbiting the planet. This allowed them to keep the position of power, unite the Earth under one banner, and venture to the stars. Now the mechanics. Payback origin for the must-have narration. From ethics we take Materialist. Democrat Party disregards tradition and religion, focusing more on humanitarian, progressive ideas. Pacifist. Full gun control was enforced in hope to increase planet stability after the revolt. Xenophile. Just because MSI were assholes, that does not mean that other aliens would be the same. Democrat Party will still advocate for tolerance, inclusivity, and open mind even in the face of adversity. From civics. Cutthroat Politics. Democrat Party has no chill and is ready to cancel anyone, even permanently. If someone must go down, someone is going down. Environmentalist. In the past, the Democratic Party was fighting to reverse climate change. Today, they are fighting to rewild Earth after devastation from recent bombardment and earlier MSI exploitation. From species traits we must take adaptive and wasteful. This is a typical genetic heritage all humans share in Stellaris, so I left them to signify similarity between Democrats and Republicans. Also, wasteful with higher consumption of consumer goods kinda fits perfectly with all Americans regardless of political views. But the key traits gained from cultural drift are as follows. Conformists. Dependence on social structures makes them lean even more to the party ideological core. Natural sociologists. Most Democrats with higher education tend to focus on social sciences. Repugnant, not because Democrats are aesthetically challenged, but because forced inclusive political ideas tend to make poor entertainment. Species portrait, of course, must be human, and the leaders of the Democrat Party would be an official well established in the political sphere. Also, we do not take any traits for the ruler when creating an empire, leaving the choice for in-game RNG list as it feels more natural. Speaking of in-game options, from traditions, Democrats have two must-have trees, and that's diplomacy, for good relations with other friendly alien empires, to get migration pacts, promote liberal internationalism, and to create anti-MSI federation. Harmony, to create a socially fair society that uplifts the unfortunate and promotes higher moral values. The more conformism there is, the better. We can take those trees at any point in time, not necessarily as first ones. Finally, from perks, we get one must, and that's Xeno-Compatibility. Full reproductive freedoms regardless of gender, species, or number of helixes in genetic code. Democrat big vibe. Now let's rewind back and look at the United Republics of America, the future empire of crash-landed Republicans. Their backstory picks up from the democratic states of Earth when the first ship collected them. Abducted Republicans organized a mutiny on the ship and forced it to crash on the nearest habitable planet, which fortunately was a continental world almost like Earth. Having the habitability advantage over other Xenoslaves, they took power without asking, quickly forming a society on the planet that they named New America. Then the Republicans coined a new national myth around the Battle of the Slave Barge and spread their ideas across the newly formed society. Despite the fact that this political narration was extremely anthropocentric, alien ex-slaves liked the egalitarian ideas that humans brought to the table and fully cooperated with the new political institutions. At least for now. Again, the mechanics. Broken Shackles' origin for the must-have narration, and from ethics we take egalitarian. Republicans, especially after fighting for freedom, abhor slavery and value their personal independence. But feel free to change this ethics to xenophobic if you decide to swap origins. Militarist. Gun ownership under Republican rule is not only permitted but also highly encouraged alongside military training. Spiritualist. Faith in God grows deeply in the ranks of Republicans. Some Xenos also appear to share similar beliefs. Next are civics. Nationalistic zeal. Where do you find patriotic patriots if not inside the Republican Party? Merchant guilds. Not real guilds, but business-oriented policies combined with economic protectionism, encouraging internal trade and proliferation of businessmen. Must-have species traits are adaptive plus wasteful, again human traits. Thrifty, Republicans are more business and money oriented. Traditional, aka the conservative trait. Unruly, fiercely independent people valuing individual freedoms over governmental control. Portrait, of course, human with a little note. Keep the species name the same as the one in Democrat Empire to not make Americans into two separate species, as it would ruin the roleplay. The Republican ruler class is of course a commander, preferably someone who led the mutiny on the MSI slave barge, with a trait to left free to pick in-game. Now, in-game tradition trees are as follows. Aptitude. Republicans value competence and competition, focusing more on exceptional individuals than on underlying ideas. Enmity. Republicans are very much into aggressive foreign policy and tough stances on their rivals, especially MSI. From perks, we could say that Republicans don't really have a designated one, but for the sake of symmetry, we will give them Eternal Vigilance, representing the more protective, non-interventionist but still military stance of the Republican Party. That's all for the individual builds. Now about the game plan, both builds share some underlying elements of their core strategy. First is catching up. Both origins are classified as challenging origins and do not possess the basic infrastructure or even technology to get it. Simple solution to this issue is to just play tall until we catch up technologically with other empires. Reliable method to do this is to invest in discovery and prosperity tradition trees first, with addition of technological ascendancy perk. This reliably increases research speed and specialist resource production at the same time. Then comes the minimal specialized industries. The best way of dealing with them is for democratic states of Earth and United Republics of America to resolve their differences and ally themselves against common enemy. But are they even willing to do this? That depends on your RP. As for achievements, with interest achievement, accessible to democratic states of Earth, requires to abandon pacifist ethics and declare war on MSI using Payback casus belli. Quite straightforward and easy to do, especially when federated with Republicans. Unshackled achievement, accessible to United Republics of America, requires embracing full democracy, xenophilia, and abandoning non-interventionist stance to crusade across the galaxy, bringing freedom and pushing for ban organic slave trade in the galactic community. Again, federating with Democrats helps greatly, but also remember to start with no pre-FTL empires, as it also helps when you don't have to care about their slavery laws. And that's finally all. Now, time for evaluation. In multiplayer, it's roleplay only. Both origins are banned in regular multi. The only scenario you will be playing this in multi is on roleplay servers set up for both builds. In single player, it's challenging. Those builds aren't min-maxed at all, so it's a very challenging experience, especially going for the achievements. So buckle up for hardcore playthrough. As for the roleplay, it's a lesson. I know it's kinda cringe to make parodies of US parties into a lesson, but it makes for a better story this way, no matter if you choose to ally with the other side for a common goal or even destroy them to face the MSI alone. There are no correct or incorrect answers here, only their consequences, and this makes it a good lesson. Anyway, what do you think about these builds? Write your opinion in the comments and see you later!